the two of us, but really between anyone who's ordered a Maverick or a Bronco, or possibly some people that have ordered, of course, an F-150 Lightning, and even the F-150 gas as well. So we're going to be talking about some changes, some good changes, but also some bad and inconvenient changes. So we'll try to get through all that tonight. I've got news to bring because Marie doesn't know that there's trouble in paradise right here, because I haven't officially dropped some bad news yet to her. So we'll do that this evening. So thank you very much for joining. Lots of Maverick talk tonight, but we will cover other Ford models. So you all know Marie, she's here. She ordered her Maverick last July. Not last July, the July before. So July 2021, July 17th to be precise. And as much as I recommended back then that it wasn't official, but I recommended to her, and I started recommending on the channel to avoid the Lux package, because if anything would be delayed, it risked being delayed because of microchips, if ever microchip issues got worse again. Because if you do recall, sort of the pattern in 2021 was winter and really spring 2021 were awful for microchips. GM was sending out vehicles, without things like, major things, cylinder deactivation for fuel economy, heated seats. BMW was shipping out vehicles at times without touch screens. So this has been affecting everyone. I'm not here to just, I'm never here to just unfairly pick on one for good publicity and a whole lot of views. But honey, I bought a brand new, well, I didn't buy a brand new to
What
me.
did you buy?
I had to buy a new vehicle. So if you're on the Maverick
You need
train,
or you wanted?
no, we have an F-150 Lightning on order, and we also have her Maverick on order. So our Lightning, we're a priority one. Great news. Ford really wants to build us. They've selected us to be built, but we're still not getting built. And if I look over here on scheduling week, so there's a bit of scheduling information. The Maverick, unfortunately, for scheduling says plant down weeks 12-26. So they're talking about December, the plant being down. But because there is no scheduling, they're not telling where scheduling is up to. But I'm going to assume it's probably up about mid by now. Probably now, end of November. If anyone knows the exact answer in the chat, please do drop it. And the F-150 Lightning, well, that's official. Scheduling for build weeks. This week, they're going to be scheduling for the middle of November. Even if we got built, let's say on the 16th of November, transport times, do realize if you've ordered a Ford or really from any manufacturer, the trains, they can sometimes be a little while before they pick up your vehicle, put it in a container, and then load it up. The actual move time is very quick. Something from across the country will get over here in a matter of a few days, like 5 days. Then the real issue is it can get to its final unloading. It's not appropriate to call it a dock, but it's final unloading destination. And it can stay in that container for weeks. It used to be 2 to 3 days. Now you're lucky if it's 2 to 3 weeks, because often it can be more, and I've seen up to 8 weeks. So 2 months at its final destination. If it's in its container, your dealer can't go and unpack it out of that container. If it's out of the container, the good news is your dealer could send someone up, extra charges, but they could send someone up to go and get the vehicle. But the Lightning is up to mid-November. Now let's just continue along quickly. The F-150 non-electric. So your gas-powered F-150s also the 14th of November. So this, October 10th, they're going to be scheduling out for, today they're going to be previewing, kind of picking out, of this week, of this group. So they pick out a certain number for a dealership, and then they say, well, we're going to try to pick from the ones we've selected. So if you're priority 1 or 2, then obviously pretty much every week you're going to get pulled. But that doesn't mean you're going to get built, because a whole lot of complications. If you're really the absolute next person on the list, great. But if your dealership for the current time period, if they're out of receiving the model, let's say, because the Lightning, for example, they will break that up into a certain percentage XLT, a certain percentage Lariat, and a certain percentage Platinum. Now, if let's say a dealership's going to get 3 Lariats, 1 510 and 2 511s. The problem is if you're now the third 511, Well, you won't get passed until they get more allotments. So that can just mean a 2-month delay that you didn't expect. Generally, allotments get thrown out at about, they'll give you a block, and it can vary. So let's just say roughly 2 to 3 months. Now, just carrying along, if you've ordered an Escape, they will be scheduling, and it depends here. They're going to be scheduling end of October, so the 31st of October, also the 7th in November. So basically they're actually doing the very end of October, the last day of October, all the way to the 3rd week of November. So that is good right there. If you're an Escape, I do hope you do get built. And if you don't, it's not that bad. The new Escape's actually pretty fantastic. If you're a plug-in, while there's no SE that exists anymore, there's no titanium, there's just the plug-in model. And it's kind of what you could say, it's pretty cool. It's pretty much like a titanium, but price-wise, the plug-in Escape is pretty stellar for what you're getting, unless you really don't care about extra equipment. So I just wanted to share that with you, a little bit of scheduling notes. Also, I did promise some good news in this episode. Not good news for me, but good news for y'all. If you're not a priority one, because a lot of dealerships won't want to mess with your order if you're already a priority one. It's a little complicated. They technically have to take you out of priority, make your change, and then try to contact someone at Ford, and then hope that you get put back priority one. So here's the good news though. If you're not a priority 1 or 2, please do go ahead and mess with this with your Lightning order, because the 20-inch all-terrain tire, that's code T2P. So Thomas to Page, like in a book. So T2P, you put that code on and you have a better chance of getting built, which is pretty awesome, because that means you're getting a more aggressive tire, and you're also going to be getting a tire, an all-terrain tire generally. In most regions will definitely be fine for taking on the winter. And in my region, well, the tires have to be homologated, so they need to have the 3 mountains and a snowflake symbol on it to pass the test. And what's cool is we pay a fortune for tires like that, and Ford's just saying, hey, no charge, throw these on. That is awesome. So the 20-inch all-terrain tire, currently available as a freestanding option on the F-150 Lightning XLT and Lariat, will temporarily be available at no charge. So yeah, that is a great tire, because I was going to buy those tires. Well, I still am going to buy tires like that. I'm probably going to spend about close to 2,000 Canadian. And here's Ford just throwing them out, saying it's going to help move your order forward. Now, I love sharing great news like that, and there's a reason to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel, because sometimes often enough, we give tips to save you a lot of money. I want to save people thousands of dollars. It makes me feel pretty darn good. So that's one important piece of information for tonight. We will get back to talking about, I bought a vehicle, and we'll say what it is on the channel this evening. I think it's pretty cool, but I want your opinions, because I had a big choice to pick. Marie gave her input, but I'll make it official tonight. She'll find out what it is. Also, if you currently have a Bronco on order and it has the shadow black painted modular hard top or the dual tops as an option, you need to finally switch off of that, and Ford's going to give you 200,000 Ford Pass rewards, because let's say you leave it on. Well, Ford's made it pretty clear that this year, the 2023 models, if you then convert to a 24, there's no longer going to be any price protection or special rebate. So basically they're saying, do what you need to do to get built this year, or live with the future prices. And of course, have a special rebate, you can call up customer service and find out. Your dealer definitely should know, but customer service can also help you out to know if you do have a rebate. And of course, if you're in the United States and they didn't do the customer order verification program, if they didn't put your information into that program, you're not getting any rebates. And this is just a reminder. I know I'm beating the dead horse, as they say, with saying this, but in case you're new to the channel, I'd hate that you'd miss out on knowing that your dealership really should and does need to ask for your driver's license, because they need to send that to Ford. They also need to send your build order signed by you over to Ford. They need to make sure that, and you need to make sure that the address you give them matches your driver's license, because they're going to be matching address and name ordered with who takes possession at the end. And that's going to allow you, here's another point to save thousands of dollars. You need to have done that to have any hopes. Well, really, you need to do that to be able to get any rebates or special promotions that Ford might give out in the future for having waited, such as this year. If you're a 2022 order, let's say you're a Maverick order and you ordered your hybrid before November 15th or your EcoBoost before January 27th, well, then you fall into the dates before Ford declared it sold out, in which case, if your dealer also put you through that customer order verification program, well, you've got a rebate coming to you. So really good news there. And let's just move on. Hopefully I have a little bit of good news, more good news. And it's good news if your dealership, of course, did it properly. And this is why I've, for quite some time, every so often I'll put out a new video with updated information on how to pick out the right dealer. So if you haven't seen the video that I did on 10 steps in regards to picking out the right dealer, I called it Don't Get Robbed 10 Steps. So that video is actually really very detailed on what you need to do to make sure that you're set up from the very beginning to get the right. You need to shop your dealer, simply put. And there's a list of questions to ask them. And if they don't do it right, you need to go find a different dealer, because sometimes the dealer closest to you is the best dealer. And sometimes that's just not the case. Now, Marie's here. It's not because I tell her she's not allowed to talk. She's here, gladly here, because she wants to see what kind of questions you guys are going to be asking. She notes them, so she becomes much more vocal in what you could say is the second half of the live, because I take Q&A on the second half, and we're almost done all the main points I wanted to cover tonight. Then we'll drop our personal news, which kind of relates to anyone who has a Bronco, F-150 or Maverick on order, because oddly we have all three on order. I love vehicles, and I have holes in my socks, but I've got cool cars in the yard. What can you do? You know, you just got to find someone who will accept that you have holes in your socks and still choose to be with you. So now for some bad news. Actually, the next 2 points it's actually quite bad news. Super Duties. Super Duties will still have a parameter alarm, and that's good, but they are losing, and this is only a $65 credit for the fact if yours, not all of them, some will not have the advanced security pack. So advanced security pack removal, 76D, if yours kind of gets picked out for that, or if you willingly choose to have this done, no worries. You probably will get your Super Duty faster if you willingly have this code picked. You'll get picked up because they don't, of course, microchips, missing out on microchips. If you want to get picked out, pick this, and you might get picked out by hazard, but here it is. It is important that dealers understand these changes and that they communicate with their fleet and retail customers regarding changes required to their orders. So this is why I'm telling you all, because I think it's important if you've got a Super Duty on order that you know this, that the advanced security pack removal is code 76D, help you get scheduled. And what is it gonna sooner? What's gonna happen? Well, basically, it's an anti-theft system, meaning if your vehicle gets put up on an angle because it's being towed, either angle forward or towed back into a vehicle, the alarm is going to go off. It's also the intrusion. So I'm just going to read this out so it's very clear. Due to the global semiconductor shortage, customers taking delivery of 2022 model year Super Duty trucks must be informed that certain Super Duty trucks are not equipped with the advanced security pack, which provides vehicle inclination and intrusion sensors, as the feature is not available. Affected trucks remain equipped with parameter alarm and security lock passive anti-theft system. So what I recommend here is Super Duties are hot items. The motor, the diesel engine, is worth a fortune because it's a fantastic engine. Smugglers who are already doing illegal things love to have it as an engine on their boats. So it's just worth a fortune on the black market. So do get your vehicle, have an added security system. And I'm not paid or sponsored by anyone, but I do like what's called a tag system. If I'm not mistaken, that originated out in France. But anyways, to hide little modules across your vehicle so that if it does get stolen, they can find your vehicle very quickly. You could also look into, Marie, would you recommend anything in regards to securing your new Ford, your hot new Ford that sells over MSRP in a lot of places and is in real
you were talking about
demand.
anti-theft system. So I don't know if in United States you have the same as here in Quebec, but we have the tag. I know now more insurance company suggest the tag, and before it was the Sherlock, but the Sherlock doesn't follow your car, so it's just a marking of a few pieces.
A lot of pieces. Well, you could get both, really.
So
because
we need to find the car first to know, oh, that car is stolen. So now the with the tag, they see it by GPS, so it's even better and quicker.
And at minimum condition, do activate your Ford Pass, because until they disconnect your battery, your Ford Pass will tell you where your vehicle is. But of course, these vehicles often, when getting stolen, they'll drive them a few kilometers or a few blocks out, disconnect the battery, and then load them onto une remorque.
Yeah, on a trailer.
Trailer, thank you.
And
you're helping me with my English.
I help you with English. It's not normal tonight. And with the tag, I know they put, because it's, what is it in English? Émetteur? Few signal.
It sends out a signal.
Few sensors, and you don't know how much they had in the car and where, so it's not at the same place each time they install it. And not the same numbers, so when people stole your car, it doesn't know, okay, do I need to remove 4 of them and go? So, that's a good one, I guess.
Now, for the last bit of bad news before we get to, well, actually, no, so there's more bad news. I won't just keep saying it's the last bit. I wish it was, but for the F-150, if you're getting a gas-powered F-150, unfortunately, it might not come with heated side view mirrors. So you can choose to have that removed as code 76X. You'll get a $75 credit, which is not very much money, but could help you get definitely produced sooner. And it's saying right here, dealers must add option code 76X to all unscheduled retail and fleet orders. Ford will amend scheduled retail fleet and all stock on October 7th. So that already happened. So yes. So what is it? You won't have heated exterior mirrors. So what, I don't know, last winter anyways with our Bronco, I kept a little bottle of spray vinegar in the house. So if I went out and my mirrors were iced over, I just went out and sprayed vinegar on them. There's different tricks to deal with it, but I do like having heated side mirrors, even though I only need them for 3. We're in Quebec and we're up north, and ice on our side mirrors, though we need them about 3-4 days out of the entire winter. So not the end of the world. At that point, I'd just say, get me my truck. At $75, I'd say almost don't give me the $75, because I'd rather have nothing than, well, I guess it's better than nothing, as my father would say. Now, the heated side view mirrors removal, that's affecting XL 101 package. Of course, that's the added electrical package. The Tremor, the Lariat, the King Ranch Platinum Limited, and Raptor. Raptor's pretty cool. We'll talk about a little bit about the Raptor in a little bit. And also heated steering wheel removal. That's one that I used to always kind of joke like, oh, that's, you real guys don't need that, come on. And
but once you have it,
the four-wheeler I was driving out in about minus 25, and the salesman was like, no, you're gonna need heated throttle and heated handles. And I was like, I'm a guy's guy, come on. I put on an extra deep voice to even pull it off, and he's like, no, you're gonna need heated handles. And then one time I was like, man, I think I would have lost some fingers had I not had that. Now, of course, in a vehicle, you don't direly need them, but it's awfully nice. I've been spoiled with the 2022 Mustang GT convertible that we have, and even on a cold day, you can throw back the top, We've got the little window behind the head, so that cuts off almost all air coming in. You crank the heat, you crank the heated seats and the heated steering wheel, and heck, you could be driving in pretty cold weather and still, if it's a sunny day, still getting a little bit of sun on the face. But heated steering wheel removal, that's going to be affecting the Tremor, Lariat, King Ranch, Platinum, Limited, and all Raptor models. So that's unfortunate, because this is often part of what we consider luxury packages, and I was real surprised that the Maverick in the luxury package had heated steering wheel. Marie was able to convince me on that package. I was like, hun, this was last July. And I was like, honey, I really think our Maverick, this might mean we don't get it for this winter. In the end, we might not get our hybrid for 2 winters. But it is still pretty impressive that on a truck that price, it comes with a heated steering wheel. And we all moaned about the XL not having cruise control. And thank you very much, Ford. Very awesome of you to throw that on. Just like with the Bronco, we all moaned about, I was an original hard top. I had to have the hard top. And I said, if they just threw on the wiring to the back, that way I know I can get a hard top later on, I'll be thrilled and I'll get a soft top. Well, I switched to soft top just right before they announced that, made it so that I passed ahead of some people, got my Bronco, and now I'm sold soft top, where we still prefer the look of the hard top, but still believe, we were on the beach in Outer Banks, we were on the beach in Florida, and all the hard top people generally are driving down on a nice sunny day with the hard top up.
They won't remove it.
They won't remove it.
More longer.
Because it needs to go, well, at least if you're a Bronco, your hard top panels fit in the back. But then, you go places with stuff in the back, and it's longer and it's less convenient and it gets scratched.
To scratch it, yeah.
So as much as I actually find the hard top better looking, she prefers the soft top look because it's black, except for a painted top. A painted top, we both agree, nothing beats that. Now I wish the Everglades, 2 things. I wish the Everglades had a painted top, and I wish it would actually come in. So talking about good dealers, so important to shop your dealer. I've got my local dealer, of course, and they're very, very, very cool. Very much appreciate them. But I wanted an Everglades, and they cannot get any Everglades. So what did I do? I put a $500 deposit, which was nicer. Porsche asked for a $5,000 deposit. They asked for a $500 deposit. I don't know if y'all can see this right here. Let's just cover Marie's face, even though she's the pretty one between the two of us. But order confirmed. So that's disgusting on their part. They told me that back in June, middle June, they said, oh, no, it's coming right in. It's in transport. And then a bit of time went by and I was told, oh, it's getting built. Sorry, we told you it should be here July 20th. We meant to say it'll get built July 20th. Then they said, oh, sorry, there's a delay. It's going to get built August 20th. And with everything that we know, we're like, a delay? Of course, that makes total sense. And after, in September, I was like, okay, what's going on? I go onto the tracking system, so you can track your vehicle, Ford Track Your Vehicle. They gave me, they actually ended up, I've said before, kind of a bogus VIN number, and that's because, yes, the original $500 deposit they took was for an Everglades that was on the way, but they probably sold that to like 15 or 20 other people. The VIN number I got is unscheduled, not even scheduled, so that won't be here for winter. And I'm looking forward to it enough that I printed off a picture. Now, I'm still too cheap to print off in color. Couldn't do that. And we've got a puppy back here. The new puppy is pulling on... Marie had an 808 Escape. That thing was a pearl.
That's a souvenir.
Mechanically amazing. Rusted out a little, of course, in its typical spot. But Ford now puts plastic on the bottom of the vehicles to not have our 2000 to 2012 rust issues that we had on several models, such as the Focus and the Escape. And of course, F-150s rusted out, and now they don't. Cool enough, because they have aluminum panel. So even with 260,000 kilometers, I just recently to a friend of mine and a customer traded in one with 216,000 kilometers, the other one with 260,000 kilometers, and they're both awesome. The paint is awesome. The one, actually, the 216,000 kilometer one around the gas tank has the paint that's bubbled, and that's only because he had 2 accidents on that side, and it was repainted twice. Of course, not by Ford. All these trucks I'm seeing 2015 and up are coming in and are amazing. Now the camera's shaking. I'm sorry because the dog is eating the pole. We have a new puppy.
We have trouble with that one.
We have a new puppy, and she's trouble. She's like a football player. She's always smashing into everything, including Winston. So your co-host is feeling bullied this week. Very sorry about that. Now, I just want to mention that Ash Paul, getting my Bronco built this week. Hope all screws and bolts and chips are available.
Yeah.
Yes, Ash Paul, my prayers are with you. You know, our first Bronco came in and didn't have paint on the back tailgate underneath the plastic. Its windshield wiper receiver had a tie. It was tied down with the little plastic ties, plastic handcuffs. I can't think of, that's what people use them for, right? For handcuffing people. Plastic ties. So anyways, I had a few little things. Our second one did as well. But what's cool is once it's actually at the dealership, well, then you can just warranty claim stuff and it goes through. I'm sorry, I'm a little red in the face because I've been eating things. I have food intolerances and I've been eating things that make me feel not so great. So Ash Paul, congratulations. Happy that you'll be getting your Bronco, and we do really hope that it doesn't get held back or built and then miss things on it. But Ford, when you see them taking things like heated steering wheel, heated exterior mirrors off of packages, that's because they're trying to ensure that they have enough chips to produce enough vehicles. You look at the Mustang Mach-E this year, and what did they do? On the Select, they removed the comfort package. So that's electric seat for the driver, memory seats, heated steering wheel, heated exterior mirrors, and the electric tailgate in the back. So they removed a whole bunch of stuff, obviously to free up microchips and build more vehicles. So Ford is working hard on this. Obviously, a lot of these options don't even cost them. It doesn't add that much to the build, but they're doing it so they can actually get them built. So that's what's going on with that. Now, we do have, we had to buy a winter vehicle, and I had found in between buying another Bronco one option was an eruption green Badlands Bronco with leather. I really like the vinyl. She prefers the vinyl. So I was like, okay, so it's a $2,500 Canadian upcharge for the leather that we don't really want or need, but this is the color we want. It's a soft top. It hit pretty much all the checkboxed high package. And instead of having to deal with the trouble of possibly going through yet another bad dealership, we are picking up an 2019 F-150 Raptor. So that's the news, honey. I picked out the Raptor.
Yeah,
Marie.
So much fun this winter.
Marie was pretty excited, actually. I think, did you hope I was going to pick the Raptor? Which one would you have
Yeah, but
preferred?
It was hard because you have good choices. So, yeah, all of them were good, but the Raptor is the first one we will have. So it's exciting. More exciting than the other.
Yeah. Because it's different.
Yeah, it's different, and at the same time, we had a Bronco before, and we still have one. Yeah. We had an F-150, but not a Raptor, so that's a good news.
And at the same time, there is a part of me that I'd feel guilty going on to a third Bronco when some people are still waiting for theirs. That just kind of doesn't sit right. It gives me indigestion, I guess. Not as bad as my food intolerances, but it was giving me some symptoms of not feeling so good. So we'll leave that Bronco for someone else, even though we were offered, she didn't know which one I picked. She just found out now. So I was offered that Badlands Bronco, which I think is sick in eruption green. We were offered that at a $500 markup, which that's nothing, right? So at a $500 markup or dealer fee or whatever you want to call it, I'm like, that's fine. I can live with that. Call that a payment for their paperwork or for the time. Great. But we picked out the Raptor. We know our local dealer is going to treat us right, obviously. The guys started preparing it. I didn't tell you, but on Friday, the team downstairs started preparing it, and I could see that they were putting special care into it.
I guess we'll have it soon.
Yeah, they know that it's going to be special because this is the first SVT performance product I'll ever have at 450 horsepower. Cool. But 510 pound-feet of torque. That is impressive, and it comes with sound. Now, of course, on the channel, I'll probably throw on a Borla performance exhaust because personally, the stock exhaust I found was, I haven't test driven it yet, but it has 60,000 kilometers. I haven't test driven it, but just starting it up, this sounds pretty decent. But I like things to sound pretty awesome. So we're spoiled with the Mustang GT. I think that is one of the nicest sounding V8s you can buy on any sports car on the market right now that's under, 150K. So I think it's just fantastic. I want to imitate that somewhat. And I did test drive the Lightning, and I've got to say, the Lightning, honey, when we get that, wow. People are starting, the price went up, and a lot of people are saying, well, now that the price has gone up, it doesn't make sense anymore. I'd say if you were originally buying the Lightning because you thought overall you'd save, I'd say that doesn't make sense because you'd have to own the thing for like, I didn't do the math on this, so of course this is speculation, but at least a good 5 years, because yes, you do save on fuel. You're going to save a lot on fuel. At the price of electricity, 20,000 kilometers in our area will cost about $300 a year to run the Lightning. And compared to the Raptor, I expect for 20,000 kilometers that to have at today's gas prices about $4,000. So it takes some time to justify that price difference, even at old pricing, but with new pricing, it takes a little bit more time. But the Lightning is worth paying extra money for because it is mind-blowingly good. The Mustang GT feels slow compared. It's wild because, of course, the Mustang GT is stupid fast. With our 10-speed transmission, it's 0 to 100. If, under perfect conditions, it's 4 seconds. The Lightning under perfect conditions is also 4 seconds. But the Lightning, you have 775 pound-feet of torque instantly. I mean, it literally throws your head into the back seat. I have to worry about neck injury almost. It's stupid fast. And then when you brake, you need to remember, big thing about electric vehicles is your electric motor is one huge braking system because it turns in one direction to propel forward the vehicle and it turns in the opposite direction to slow the vehicle down. So that's a good amount of braking comes from that. And then the Lightning has huge brakes. So the braking is violent when you throw it to the floor. The handling...
You need to adjust the first time you drove it.
Yes. Well, they also told us, it's pretty cool. Ford was like, no. Put the pedal to the gas, sorry, not gas. I don't want to insult anyone. I know some people are sensitive. The accelerator, throw the accelerator to the floor. I'm pretty sure they said gas pedal as well. But anyways, they said hit that pedal down, the go pedal, hit it to the floor. And then when you get to certain cones, slam on the brakes. And it was unbelievable being glued. I've never been glued like that to a seat before. I don't even think you'd get that out of a 3-second gasoline-powered vehicle because it's just the instant torque and then it's instant double braking. And of course, I do like underneath. Yeah, I think when you see it, you're going to be impressed. The shock tables that connect to the wheel. It's incredible. It's huge. And of course it's huge because the vehicle weighs 7,000 some odd.
So you would say it's worth the price?
It's absolutely. No, sorry. I'm a fanboy now. It's absolutely worth the price. It's if it doesn't ever leave me stranded because it needs some new programming and I'm stuck on the side of the road. Of course, if that happens, I'll go from fanboy to hate man. But and of course, gasoline powered vehicles can leave you stranded as well. But electric vehicles, the main issue is that it's all programming, which means it can be fixed really easily. But it also means that it can maybe go wrong a little more easily. We probably all are aware of the Hummer from TFL that got stranded, and my current Bronco, surprisingly, it's gas powered, but things are so, even if you get a gas powered vehicle, there's a lot of programming that goes into that. There's a lot of good. That means over the air updates can fix your vehicle, but I brought the vehicle in, the Bronco, our front transfer case was staying partially engaged. So annoying in parking lots, it would hop around and just it wears tires out. It's not great. So I've been driving it for a month now in 2 high, and brought it in, went off and spent the day test driving the Lightning and the Mach-E GT. The next day, showed up, the vehicle was done. They said, yeah, try it out. We're quite positive. Programming did everything. So there you go. Programming fixed my transfer case. So it's cool. They didn't have to open it up, which is kind of cool later on, because when you're off warranty, the day you find out that your vehicle gets fixed with a program that, they had to bring your vehicle in for about an hour, download a program, test the vehicle, then park and say done, you're going to be real happy paying an hour's worth of labor, as opposed to if this was, purely mechanical and there's something mechanically broken. Well, opening up the transfer case and fixing things, I might have ended up having, a 5 to 10 hour bill. And, that means about $600 to $1,300. And instead, 1 hour of labor, $130 Canadian, much better. So we're pretty much at the questions section of the show.
So you can start to throw questions, and for now I note a few of them that you asked before. So we'll start with Nick. He wants to know if you have any other Bronco news, much more about the ordering.
Oh yeah.
So
great, thank you, Nick. Thank you for asking that question, and this is going to be applicable to basically anyone that gets converted or anyone ordering now. So let's first cover, if you haven't ordered a Bronco, please don't be discouraged. Just know that it is going to take a while. At a lot of dealerships, it'll take a very long while, but at some dealerships, you'll get them between 4 to 8 months. But now I think Ford is balancing it out a little more. So dealers that really way oversold and have lists that go out to 10 years worth of wait time, well, they're going to get more Broncos now. They're going to get more Mavericks. So it's going to be less of, the differences will be less drastic, because yes, some dealers were getting even a hardtop Bronco. Locally, a hardtop Bronco was like an 8-month wait, and a soft top Bronco was a 4-month wait. And if it was Sasquatch with a soft top and a 2.7 liter, some of them were coming in within 4 months, and I mean with no reservation. And that's just because my local dealer didn't, take out lines that extend, 10 times their yearly allotment. Because at some point, sometimes you need to just be like, okay, well, we're sold out. And that brings me to my next point. Being sold out. You don't want to order from a dealer that is horrifically sold out. But you can go ahead and pre-order at a dealer. Watch my 10-step video, or my 10 steps, 10 questions to ask a dealer to make sure you don't get robbed. So shop your dealer, pick out your dealer. And if you can't find a dealer locally that, seems to want to play a fair game of ball with you, that they want things to be fair for both you and themselves and Ford, which I think, fairness is what we all need to strive for. It can't be all one-sided. In any relationship, whether it's fighting over the bed covers at night or doing any business transaction. I think it's ridiculous when someone goes in wanting absolutely everything on their side, but do try to get a pre-order at a dealer. So right now, Bronco, how the ordering process is going is right now it's all about converting. And I do have data around here. I believe it was, you definitely want all your 20, 21, and 22 Bronco orders converted ASAP. I think the absolute deadline is November 21st, but you want to get that converted immediately. You want it to be COVP, Customer Order Verification Program. You want it verified in there. So you need to know your dealer is going to send off your driver's license as well as your signed build off to Ford. Now you want them, and I know, it's going to, regions can differ, but in some regions you're also going to want them sending off a purchase offer. And you're going to want them to sign that as well, because that's their way of telling Ford also that they're going to sell it at, the price that is fair. And that's a tough one, because it plays around with dates in regards to whether you get price protection or not. And in the future, things can change. There can just suddenly not be price protection. So I don't know what the future holds, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I can predict the future, and I'm certainly not going to sit here and say that companies never change procedures. No, they're not set in stone. It's not the 10 commandments. They can change. So right now, just long story short, try to get a pre-order with a dealership so that the day new orders are being taken by Ford for Broncos, that you just get in right away on day one.
Perfect.
Now, Nick, though, if ever I missed something that you would have you wanted something more specific in regards to answering about the Bronco,
we have
do let me
one
know. Okay,
from
let's
Nick.
do it.
Also, he wants to know if he can get a manual transmission with Bronco with the mid package. It appears online as default to automatic. Is it because there's no manual on the mid package?
Mid package. Okay. That doesn't seem right. For example, the Outer Banks being automatic only, that does seem right. So if you're on an Outer Banks, it just, unless it's new for 23, but from my recollection, Outer Banks is automatic all the way. There's just never a manual on that. But going mid-package, I would say that's an error. What you can do is, of course, it's proprietary information, so I'm not going to throw it out on the channel. I do have it in a drawer right in front of me, but just go online, Google 2023 Ford Bronco Order Guide. Everything in there is, for the time being, that's the law. That's the Bible. That's the real deal. When I do my real deal episodes, like Build and Price, the real deal, and Don't Be Fooled, well, all my information is sort of selected from various parts of the order guide, because I can't just sit down and read out the order guide, because that would take 3 hours. It would take quite a long time. It'd be extremely boring, but I do pick out the really important stuff. But I haven't done a 2023 Bronco Don't Be Fooled session because we're still in the converting process. And most of the people that have either a 21 or a 22 that's being converted into 23, most of them are all experts. And if your memory is, if you were an expert, 3 weeks ago, of course, 3 weeks later, your memory, just stick with the order guide. The Build and Price is an inaccurate tool. It's kind of like hunting with a shotgun. You're going to hit something, but it might not go down because it's just, scattering. So it's not always perfect. The Build and Price sometimes is not only late for us, it just sometimes clearly has very incorrect. At one point I was building a Badlands, and when I would pick more technology, it would switch the picture and actually kick me onto an Outer Banks. I once did a Build and Price on a 6-cylinder Mustang, on a GT, and got 6-cylinder Mustang pricing because it switched somehow. So there can be bugs in there, so just stick to the order guide.
Perfect. Another question from Ashton Diver 711. Our trimmers all are oversold. I ordered a trimmer Lariat Luxe with Priority 10, but little nervous since Ford said that, I will let you read that, 8% of the production will be trimmer.
Yes, on the Maverick, 8% of all Maverick builds can be trimmer. So there's actually a good amount of demand for this model, and of course there's no way of knowing what the exact demand is. I can just base, if I kind of extrapolate my local data and say, well, the tremor is, I'd say, pretty popular. I can't do the fast math in my head, but it's definitely above 8% the demand for it. So it's going to be up to, hopefully your dealer can give you a good idea, like, hey, are you the second tremor order that they had go in, or are you the fifth? Now, your priority 10, the real question is, how many other priority 10 tremors are there? And then you might know, and are they ahead of you or not? So that's basically, that's just basically how it's going to go down for that one. So yes, it could be a bit of a wait. It could be causing you to get pushed to 24 if you're the 12th tremor at the dealership and they're only going to get 3 or 4 for the year. Well, then you'll get turned into a 24. But do try to keep the appearance package off, because that kicks you down into 3%. And I think the appearance package is something people are just going to naturally be like, hey, that's cool. That way everyone's really going to know I own a tremor. Click. And then the competition gets real tough, real hot and heavy for that. So
And I saw
Standard.
in the comments that John C2 was asking when could I have my car. So it always depends on the dealer, how much they will have, and you are where in the in the priority line. So yeah, it's tough for us to let you know. If we could, we will tell you, but it's difficult to know.
Very true, very well said. But there are some solid truths, things that you can do that are definitely going to help you out. So things you can do: don't put on mud flaps. Don't pick out any bed accessories. That means no plastic bed liner, no sprayed in bed liner, no sliding rails. Just avoid accessories. Don't add
No
little
Lux package.
Yeah, no. Of course, if you can avoid the Lux package, definitely avoid the Lux package. That's definitely going to help move you forward. If you can avoid a hybrid, avoid a hybrid. They're gonna, the demand for hybrid is a good solid somewhere around 75% of all Mavericks going in. Somewhere around 75% of the requests are requests for hybrid. Now, 33% of the Mavericks get built as hybrids because that's what they can handle with, battery competition and whatnot. So if you can avoid a hybrid, do so. And when might you consider avoiding a hybrid? Well, I'm the perfect candidate to not get a hybrid. If I were to reorder, if I were to go back to 2021 in July and this was my Maverick, I would 100% absolutely get an EcoBoost all-wheel drive. Why? Because 90% of my driving is on 70 kilometer an hour or faster zones, essentially not city driving, no traffic, very few stop signs, and there's not much of the fuel economy between the EcoBoost and the hybrid isn't that much. Now, of course, it's easy to say this hindsight, but I know myself, and I know if it was my order back in July, the fact that the EcoBoost cost extra money would have made me laugh and say, you're not going to get me. I'm taking the hybrid, and I'm going to save money on the purchase, and I'm going to save a little bit of money on the gasoline. So joke's on you, Ford. I'm getting a hybrid. But if Ford is smart. Ford has made a very wise decision to say, one, let's make the people happy. Let's give them cruise control on the XL. And two, let's not charge extra for the EcoBoost. That is awesome. That is a very good decision, and I think if you mostly do highway driving, you really should be considering taking on an EcoBoost. Now, of course, if you do go all-wheel drive, which you're forced to with the Lariat now, but if you're getting an XL or an XLT and you go all-wheel drive, well, that adds roughly $2,200. And that's, debatable. If you're going to go play in the mud, get it. If you're going to have Canadian winters, do know that the front-wheel drive hybrid, I drove that demo on a Friday night through a snowstorm, way faster than anyone else on the road.
I was going so well,
whizzing by them, and it was going so well. I filmed. You pulled our four-wheeler and trailer, and it uphill, made full, complete stops.
Still in a snowstorm,
and accumulated snow, unsalted roads at that point, middle of a snowstorm. Depending where we were driving, it was 1 to 2 inches of snow. And it was a sticky, wet snow. So it's not as if the tires, it wasn't this fluffy, dry stuff which just pushes out of the way and you have contact with the cement. We were driving on snow, you're the good driver here. You made some full, complete stops, and we're just blown away by how...
Yeah, it was easy. It was the first and only time I drove a Maverick, and it was like nothing. It went so well. So I was surprisingly amazed by the hybrid.
Now, something to know about Bronco and any order. Ford this year has some models that they're going the traditional route and they're just duplicating an order. So automatically goes from 22 to 23, and your dealer only needs to update the code. They also do need to go through the process of proving to Ford you're still a real client that still really wants the vehicle. So your dealership should be contacting you to ask for your driver's license and either electronically sign or go into the dealership and sign a little bit of paperwork that they can send off to Ford. But unfortunately for dealerships, models like the Maverick, they need to be completely rebuilt in the system. That's a good amount of work. I believe the Mach-E is as well. But beyond that, just do keep in mind that even in the best of situations, Ford has only duplicated the order, but then coded you 99. So your order is just sleeping in the system. It will never get built as a 99. code, priority code, and it's extremely important that you know that either your dealer or you need to contact your salesman to discuss taking your priority code from a 99 to something between 10 and 19. 20 is bad. That's for stock orders. We're people. We're not stock. We're not livestock either. We're not stock orders. We're retail. So they need to put you between 10 and 19. And the best case scenario is either you're just not duplicated in the system, so you do not have a 23 order in if you haven't done anything, or you have been duplicated, depending on the model, but your code 99, you're still not going to get built. And you do need to get either rebuilt in the system or have your priority changed, and your dealership does absolutely need to send off, they need to confirm your order. So Ford doesn't want to be sending, Ford is doing this, it's great. Ford is doing this to avoid that dealerships just go, oh yeah, it's a real client, trust us, and then just have inventory that they ask $5, $10, $15, $20,000 over price for. Ford wants to send real vehicle. Well, the vehicles are always real, but they want to send
real customer.
vehicles to real customers. They in no way are benefited, and in no way do they want to. And actually, it's actually quite bad because people get upset when a dealer has, like a bunch of Mavericks or Broncos for sale, and they're in that region, and they're like, what the heck, I've been waiting 1 or 2 years, why are there 5? I can understand one canceled order, but 5 at the same time. People start to ask questions. So Ford doesn't want that going down. They want us to get our vehicles.
Perfect. And a question from Brendan Huber. For the new Bronco orders, is it in December or in spring?
Great question.
We can do it.
I'd say it's going to be probably December or sometime in the winter. I still don't have an official date on that, but it could be December, because when you think about it, when we've got, earlier in the episode, I mentioned that people with painted hardtop requests need to switch over, get their 200,000 Ford Pass points. That's money you can actually spend, but they need to convert this over and make the change by November 21st. Well, this could be evidence, or it helps me think that here's a deadline for converting. Then they'll process them. Well, then naturally after that, would they not open it up for everyone else? So I'm thinking that they will open it up for everyone else, and we'll have to stay tuned to that. But if I had to put a bet, I'd say probably December. I think in December, or either December or January, depending how long they take to process everything, I think it's going to be opened up to the public for new orders. But do keep in mind, you can try to get an order in on a pre-order in at a dealership so that they can just already have your driver's license and already have everything to confirm your order with Ford once, you could say, it publicly is open. Right now we could say that it's private sales of the Bronco because they're being sold exclusively to people who've already been waiting for one. I'm sorry, it's mostly me. I'm having a bit of food intolerances, so I'm here not feeling well and getting a little overheated. This engine is running hot.
Another question here from the WB says, my Maverick Lariat basic sound system sounds great. Why are XLT owners complaining? Is the basic sound in the Lariat better?
That's a great order guide question. Now, I actually find the XLT sound system sounds pretty good too. And I've also found that it sounds good in the Lariat, and I personally didn't notice a difference. I'm not like the world-class audiophile, but I'm not seeing, you just have to go to your order guide and you go to the section that's on the Lariat. And when you go to standard equipment, if it has something over the XLT, it will say it. However, do keep in mind, here's a don't be fooled. The current 23 order guide for the Maverick, you go on the XLT and it's like, we've got cruise control, which by the rules is supposed to mean that the XL does not have cruise control. And that's not the case. That's actually one of those unbelievably rare errors in the order guide. But what's cool is if you go to the XL, it will say it has cruise control. But the build and price website, though, however, is often that way because you look at details and you're like, oh, here. Oh, I get this. This is how I get navigation. But then it's actually kind of like a navigation plus. And the same thing is true for Copilot. You'll have areas saying, oh, Copilot 360 is optional, but all Mavericks have a really cool base Copilot system, which is worth reading about in the standard equipment at the very beginning of the order guide. So I believe it's, from recollection, they all have emergency braking, and they all had, what is it here? They all have automatic LED high beams. So, when you look at the Lariat, you figure, oh, I have to get a Lariat. I want those LEDs. No, those are special, signature, exclusive LEDs, but they all have LED lighting in the front. So very safe. Thank you, Ford, for providing that. That's great for safety, but they're automatic LED high beams. You get the pre-collision assist with automatic emergency braking on all Mavericks. And that means dynamic brake support. The thing will actually not just warn you, it's actually going to prep the brakes and then actually brake, and they all have a rear view camera, but at the rear view camera, nothing special there. But when we go out to the Lariat, to really answer your question straight up, I'm going to say that I'm pretty sure the answer to that is no. But I'm looking here through Lariat standard equipment. Of course, you get the 6.5-inch productivity screen behind the steering wheel, which you get on the FX4 XLT package, which makes me think the FX4 kit is an awesome deal, making it kind of hard to pick between the Black Appearance package and the FX4 package. But the FX4 package at the price is a steal. You get that 6.5-inch screen behind the steering wheel. You get acoustic windshield, ambient lighting, dual USB rear, dual zone electronic, automatic temperature control, soft vinyl wrapped steering wheel. It used to be leather, now it's soft vinyl. One touch up, down, front and rear windows, power sliding rear window with privacy glass. And then for the seats, you get the Activix, which is great. Not everyone likes the blue and the brown mix, but I think it looks pretty cool. It's different. You get the 8-way power driver. So no, nothing at all about sound system. So to answer your question, yeah, the XLT and Lariat without going to Lariat Lux, where you get the B&O, which is really sounds really well. But no, you're right. The standard sound system is good, but reviewers, I think they have to sign an oath when they become official reviewers. So I'll stay an unofficial reviewer of things. I think they have to sign an oath that says they have to find 10 things they love and 10 things they hate. Sometimes they just hate everything because that's the best publicity of all for them. But I like to try to find the balance with things. So if I find a negative point, I'm like, okay, but why was this built this way? Is there some sort of benefit that comes out of it? For example, the Mach-E Select model now doesn't have the comfort package. But for anyone who's but it comes standard with the technology package. So for any customers that are carryovers, and there's a lot of them, if you're a carryover customer, what's cool is if you had technology comfort, you almost have the same price 1 year later, which I didn't expect that. I expected a huge increase. But you lose the comfort package. So that's one of those how I like to look at things. Why was the decision made? If something has, trying to think of a better example, but anyways, on the next car review that I cover, you'll see when I go over something, I'm like, hey, I don't like this point. That's just personal. That's just me because I put a lot of importance here, and they probably did it this way for X reason. Just like Jeeps. Jeeps have small little screens, and it looks really like dated by 15 years. Well, part of it is because the model is due for a change. And part of it also is Jeep was probably thinking, hey, some Jeep users really drive this through the mud. The interior gets muddy, wet, humid. They leave their top off in the rain, and they're thinking it's probably going to be nice for customers if we give a nice little sealed in screen, because if we put this big, huge screen, if it gets wet, well, they probably won't like a $4,000 repair. So there's always pros and cons to every decision and everything that gets put into a vehicle. Do we have another question to stop me from rambling?
Yeah, one from Dick Marshall. How many Mavericks do you think Ford will be able to produce per month over the next year?
Roughly 6,000 to 10,000 per month. and that's going to vary on what's going down with availability of microchips, mags, plastic. Some people had trouble believing me this when I said this last year, saying like, hey, you know, try to avoid, I was saying this back last spring, avoid plastic, avoid mud guards. And now that there's a war going on somewhere in the world, really avoid plastic, because they process the base, the primary source primaire, primary source.
Yeah, I guess.
So yeah, 6 to 10, unless they were to decide to move the Bronco out of the factory, the Bronco Sport, because the factory that makes the Maverick also makes the Bronco Sport. Sorry, I just paused. I was trying to figure out if I could properly pronounce the name of the name of the factory, but the factory, Hermosillo. Anyways, that's my best try. You can laugh at me in the comments.
Okay, the next one, it's not a question, it's a congratulation to Javier de Anda. He said for the Bronco waiters, he wants to add some positive note. He ordered it on March 2021, and he just got his bill date on Friday, so congrats.
We both think it's worth the wait, and of course we didn't wait
so much
as long as a lot of people. But I can tell you, I follow the groups on Facebook, and people who pick them up, I'm not finding people saying like it wasn't worth the wait, unless they're one of the very, very rare people that had a motor blown on them. Then that really sucks. That's awful. The 60 some must be somewhere between 50 and 80 people who had a motor blow on them. Then yes, that's awful, and they probably don't feel that the wait was worth it. But we've got people who, a lot of people, you see them, they say, I've been waiting 2 years, got my Bronco, so worth the wait, love it. Our Everglades, we're not canceling out the Everglades because we now know, like, we've tested it. I usually get unbelievably tired of a vehicle after 3-4 months. I'm like, next, I'm done with it. I'm tired of it. I don't want to see the same buttons. I'm tired of having, even if it's a great ride, I'm like, I'm tired. You know, this is too comfortable. I need to switch it up, you know, and then I go from a luxury car to, let's say, a Toyota MR2 that could, literally put me in a wheelchair because it's the suspension's so bad. Less bad since I bought a new suspension for it. But that car is deadly. I better never crash that. The look she's giving me right now, this is why I'm saying what I'm saying.
No bags on it.
Because,
it's scary.
I know she was judging me and judging the car. It's about as safe as a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And of course, an MR2 and a motorcycle, the two problems, it's not with how you drive. It's with the drivers around you, because bigger trucks can literally just drive into my vehicle. The MR2 is so low on the ground, but the Raptor is going to be really safe. That is a mountain climber.
So safe.
Yeah,
I love it. So, for the winter, it's the best car. Yeah. Okay, after that, Nick asked another question about the Bronco. He said he asked his dealer, and they said, since I'm a new order, I can't get Heritage Edition. They said that isn't available to everyone, only order holders. Yeah. Is that true? And can I get the...
So, if ever, not all the Heritage Editions get sold out in this conversion-only time period. Well, then maybe there'll be, it only makes sense there, for the Heritage, the limited one, the one that's basically a Badlands Plus, they're making 1,966 of them. If somehow conversion holders don't take all 1,966, then maybe in the future it will be available. And maybe even it'll be available in a yard because someone it comes in and their financial situation or whatever has changed. They had to buy a Raptor in the meantime because Ford won't send them their Maverick or their Lightning. Well, then who knows? Maybe it's going to be sitting in the yard and you'll be able to get one. But as it stands, your dealer is completely correct about that.
Fair. After that, we have a question from For High For Low. It's more a comment, sorry. My dealer wouldn't tell me how many Bronco orders are ahead of me and how many Broncos they are allocated for 2023. They are giving lower priority code to orders that have less option constraints. That's special.
That's
they want to get out the easiest order, maybe?
No, it's just I don't get that one. Taking the simplest builds and putting them at 10, it just seems redundant. It's doing extra work. Your dealer's doing two things at once. They're telling you, and at least if they don't want to tell you what their rough 23 estimate is for allocations, they could tell you what their 22s were and be like, well, we're hoping to get that or more. And that would be, you know, pretty fair. It's fine. If they say we don't want to speculate, but this is what we got for 22. So if we get that for 23, well, this is where you are on the list. That's simple. But they don't want to do the extra work. Instead, I'm going to call them pencil pushers. They're like, they need to stop doing what they're doing and go get a job as giving out tickets for people that are illegally parked, because that's the perfect job for them. They just love doing a little bit of note taking, because they're going in, and that means they're changing all their current orders that are simple, meaning they have to review what the order is, because in the system you're just getting mostly like well, not necessarily, they're getting codes. But they then have to go and cross-reference that against the original order and be like, oh, this is a simple one, let's put it 10. And it's a waste of time, because simple orders will pass before, you know, you could have a complicated priority 10 and a simple 19. And the 19 has a good chance of getting built before the 10 anyways. I've seen it happen. So they are wasting time in one area, which isn't helping anyone get a good service, instead of spending that time giving you a good service. Gosh, it, I think my...
Conclusion, go see Long MacArthur.
Conclusion, you know, try to go see... Order one from Long MacArthur. I'm not going to say it's my dream job, but I get a lot of satisfaction having the job of going around to dealers and giving out, you know, rewards and punishment. And I guess that
like
kind of
being a secret customer.
No.
Okay.
I don't like wasting people's time. Okay. I just want to dish out discipline. Be like, oh, you've been really good. Here's an extra 10 Broncos. Guess what? We took it from 3 of your competitors that were doing these 4 things wrong. So don't you ever do that to your customers. Then again, that's sort of what I did in university. I was managing residences, helping to manage residences, and I, you know, would give people fun programming, but I also had an attitude of, you know, make mistakes, learn from your mistakes, but if you're going to lie about your mistakes, well, here's a big punishment. And I'd be very clear. I'm like, you're being punished because in life, you shouldn't learn that you get rewarded for being really bad at lying. So anyways, some dealers, anyways, I'm going to switch topic. I just think it's weird that they're doing it that way, but that's their business. Do it.
They tried.
Do as you wish.
They try something. Another question from for High for Low. What is Ford doing about dealerships who have accepted way too many of Bronco orders?
Fantastic question. So that's from 4 High 4 Low. I'm not surprised you follow not just you follow a lot of channels. So you yourself are an expert. But anyways, thank you for trusting me with your question and allowing me to answer it. Well, Ford this year, if I'm not mistaken, they've got a few new systems in place. And they've got a system that's also often called a new system, but it's actually a system that's always existed, and actually you could say it was more so put on pause for certain models. But there's always, for many, many years, there's been this process of turn and earn. So the more you turned over, the faster you turned over vehicles. That means they come in and then they're out. They're out to customers. The faster you do that, the more vehicles you're going to get now. This is Ford's way of helping dealerships, encouraging them to not have, let's say they get 4 Bronco inventory, super simple builds. The factory had to build something, all these long orders, we want something complicated. So, we want a Raptor, we want an Everglades, we want a Wild Track with everything, we want a Badlands with everything. So when the factory just has something they can produce, well, they'll produce an easy one, a Big Bend or a straight Outer Banks, no Sasquatch package, and they're going to send that out to a dealer. Now, if the dealer wants to increase the overall number of Broncos or any model that they get, they need to have this come in and they need to sell it quickly. That means not marking it up for 20,000 over and saying someone's going to buy it. No, it's we need to find a buyer for this now. And how can you do that? What's the best way to do that? Well, it's to be fair and sell it at the right price. Mm-hmm. That's probably what helped encourage where we found that Bronco Badlands. That's probably why we were offered it at the build and price website price plus a small $500, whatever you want to call it, dealer fee. It's certainly not a market adjustment fee because it's worth more than that. So Ford is doing that, and also Ford is going to be distributing vehicles based on history. So they're going to look at previously, what's your history? So if you've sold a lot of Broncos in the past, it's going to help you get more Broncos. So you need to, basically it's definitely helping to alleviate somewhat, what could have been, let's say if a dealer that has 1,500 Bronco reservations that they took on, if they were getting 150 per year, well, they're definitely going to get more than 150 per year, and that 10-year wait is going to go down. And it's in the dealership's interest to be as fair as possible to turn and then earn more. So turn them, get them, sell them out. That's going to help them, because it's going in the opposite direction is like a flushing toilet. It just gets worse and worse until there's no water left. There's no vehicles left. So if you're difficult and you're holding on to your vehicles for many months because you're asking crazy prices for them, well, then your historical data of how many you sell is over time going to get worse and worse, because you're going to be failing at both systems, the turn and earn system as well as the historical data system. So Ford's doing that, and that is going to help. And there is a third thing that they're doing that I want to mention, and it is currently slipping my mind, so I'm sorry. I'll have to mention it, but yes, Ford has processes in place to help reduce that. And of course, one of the things, this is a fourth thing Ford is doing. Ford is communicating with us what we can remove from our orders to help move things ahead. And so have I. I've been doing this from the very beginning. And of course, they suggest taking off the 2.7 liter engine and putting on the soft top and removing the hitch. And what I have found is that the big one is going to the soft top. That's been the big one, because a lot of the orders that are unbuilt, so many of them are hard top, and a heck of a lot of them are wild track. And wild track traditionally is playing around 21% of the total Bronco production. So switching off wild track can definitely help.
Good. So, and the last one that I note for tonight is from Demon66666. Oh no, I just lose the connection.
You lost internet connection. Well,
yeah. Oh, okay, I got it. Okay, sorry. Woo.
Hoping the channel itself doesn't lose the internet.
I was afraid. Okay, so I received the following email from Ford. Your vehicle order is one of the early order for 2023 Mavericks XLT. Then he received another email a week later saying that there's delays. Do you heard about that?
Yes. Yeah, nice. I think from your triple or four question marks, what you're trying to say is, how does this make sense? Well, it makes sense. Ford in one email is saying like, hey, we want to let you know that you're an early Maverick order. Cool. So, it's nice. They're communicating with me, and it also shows that my order's in. So that's great. Ford is letting you know you can sleep tight. We got your order, and you're one of the early ones. But then if you think that means you're going to get one really soon, well, that means you're drawing conclusions that aren't in that email. And that wouldn't correlate, obviously, with the second email that there's delays. So they're not telling you that your first email doesn't indicate that you're now going to get built right off. And while your second email is definitely reminding you of that as well, saying like, hey, do keep in mind that there are delays. So I think maybe the first email, maybe Ford realized, hey, people thinking that they've got an early one means that, they're next up. So we better send out an email that also says, hey, they could have maybe worded as, do keep in mind. Ideally, if it all had been in the first email, it would have said, you're an early 2023 Maverick order, but do keep in mind that there are delays. And here are some things you can leave off your order. And by the way, it's not too late to take off any bed accessories. That means those little tarps, the hard tops, the soft tops, the insides of the beds, the mud guards, the deflectors, any
stuff that you can put after that.
Yeah, you can't add after the fact. You can't add Copilot. So if you need Copilot to be safe, keep Copilot on. After the fact, you can add heated seats, but you cannot add a heated steering wheel and you cannot add heated exterior mirrors. So keep that on your order. Or take off Lux package, knowing that there's going to be a whole bunch of people with super expensive F-150, fully loaded F-150s who don't have it. So hun, join the expensive, rich F-150 owners who might have a King Ranch with no heated steering wheel and just live without the heated steering wheel on your Maverick. But I'm joking, I'm teasing, because I did buy a Raptor and broke the piggy bank, which is so untraditional.
That's why I continue to wait for my Lux package, because I will be able to drive a Raptor.
The joke is, traditionally in our area, you have like the old rich Anglophone, the old money, and they won't spend on flashy things. And okay, yeah, so that's how the Francophones would say it. They'd say we're cheap. And
because you tried to say it in 2 sentences, and I'm just like, cheap is the word.
Well, we could say that some Francophones right here, flash their money and like, and you're not like this.
I don't flash.
There's some, and there's of course.
The Lux package is not to flash, it's because I don't like to be cold.
You have some friends whose purses are more expensive than like the first 15 vehicles I owned in my life. So,
I don't have a purse expensive like that. Less than 50 bucks.
And that's how we can be together. You accept me with my holes in my socks, but I've had holes in my socks now, and I've for so many years, and I don't go. You don't get taken out to the restaurant.
I'll buy you new socks if you let me drive the Raptor.
Deal. Deal, because it's gonna get cold and I'd love to have warmer footwear. So we'll do that. You can drive the Raptor.
Good.
But now there's actually no point for her to make changes to her Maverick order, because even if she changed it and it got built, we're probably out to about middle to end of November for scheduling Mavericks. With the delays going on in transport, we're already gonna have had 4 or 5 snowstorms, and the Mustang will either be totaled, or I will could potentially be beaten to death if seen driving a convertible Mustang with winter tires on it. In my area, it's Mustangs, and I agree, Mustangs are to be respected. They're to be treated well. It'd be like if I had some crazy requirement that every week you go out and you get into like UFC style fights, because that's my personal hobby. And it's like, how can you make your beautiful girlfriend fight for a living? Well, torturing your Mustang through a Canadian winter with all the salt that we have is like mistreating your spouse. So it's just not right.
That's true. It's torturing the Mustang.
Yeah, actually, she's one of the people. She's actually told me, she's like, if you put winter tires on the Mustang, I'll want to hit you. And I'm like, no. Well,
yeah, it was like, I could put a winter Mustang. You're sure you want to do that? It's
sacrilege.
Sacrilege.
Yeah, it's like going against religious laws. It's just not kosher.
You're crazy.
It's not kosher at all. So that's the questions for tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. We do try to aim to have this show 45 minutes to 60 minutes. So I'm sorry we have gone over. If you have made it this far, please do. When the show's over, just go into the little comment box and say finisher. That'll be great knowing, not in the live chat, but just in the main show, if you just want to throw on finisher. Thank you so much. And yeah, wet foot, you're right, frugal. Thank you. Not cheap. I'm frugal. And it allows me to, I'm fulfilling kind of a dream. I always wanted either a Shelby. I said, it's on my bucket list. I have to have a Shelby Mustang, or I have to have an SVT product. And the Marauder, while it was an SVT product, it was like 25 years old. So it wasn't quite the same wow factor as picking up this Raptor.
No, I was like that when I was driving it.
Yeah, I got made fun of at work, but I think the Marauder was pretty cool. But the Raptor is, I think, untested, undriven. I think it's going to be really cool, and I'm hoping my Lightning experience doesn't have me finding it slow. So yeah, Javier, sorry, French, English, and that's, and then Spanish. I'm not very good in Spanish, but I'm pretty decent in English and French. But congratulations on the build. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Really appreciate. Do subscribe so you don't miss out on important Ford information and the occasional fun car review. Thanks for tolerating this little pup here. She'll show you. That's what was eating away at the camera pole earlier. So thanks for surviving the camera shake. We really appreciate you all. A huge thank you to our members for really supporting and helping us follow our passion, which is bringing you car news and car reviews. Thanks, y'all. Take care. Have a great week.
Bye.